For lucrative opportunities, he delved into the world of real estate, immersing a portfolio of properties that span the globe, from commercial buildings in Nigeria's bustling city centers to luxury residences in some of the world's most sought-after locations. Adenuga's property investments are as diverse as they are extensive. Banking, too, has felt the Adenuga's touch. He has been instrumental in shaping the industry, contributing to its growth and stability. His influence and investment has helped foster a banking sector that is robust, reliable, and ready to serve the needs of Nigeria's growing economy. But Adenuga's impact extends beyond the world of business. His philanthropic endeavors are a testament to his belief in giving back to the community.
That's a special man to me. A very special person. That is a man that made my path and my ways very smooth. That's a God-sent person to me. Dr. Mike Adenuga Jr. is somebody that I will continue to thank, to appreciate, and to continue to pray God to help him, to give him long life and good health. Well, decades of our relationship, way back in the 80s. Rafi Ladipo was a nobody, but through the help of Dr. Mike Adenuga Jr. and God's grace and blessing, I am what I am today. I owe it all to God, and indeed, Dr. Mike Adenuga, my second God. I'm close. I know him as a man that loves to assist his friends. Even if he's angry, he'll come back and call his friend. This is the way it is done. So for me, my knowing Dr. Adenuga Jr. has been a blessing.
Through the Mike Adenuga's Foundation, he has donated millions to causes closest to his heart, including education, health, and social welfare. He has founded scholarships, built schools, and supported hospitals, underscoring his commitment to improving lives and empowering future generations. In essence, Adenuga's business journey is not just about creating wealth, but also about creating value.
Several years back, the Nigerian League had no sponsor. And it took me less than 1 hour to get Dr. Mike Adenuga Jr. understand that he needed to help our football to grow. I just called the then president of the league, the late Oyuki Obaseki. He met me at the National Stadium and was feeling very sad. And he said he was going back to Abuja. I asked him why. He said because he was not happy. Only yesterday he got the biggest disappointment of his life. That a company that had agreed to sponsor the league had reneged, and they were no longer ready to sponsor the Nigerian league again, unless they cut the agreed amount, the initial agreed amount between the National League and their company. unless they cut it into two. And he asked, how will he now prosecute the league? I said, you can't prosecute the league. I'll get you a sponsor. Are you ready to go with Glow? He said he knows nobody in Glow. I said, I am Glow. And I quickly called the group CEO, Mr. Mohammed Jamil, and I asked him, wouldn't you want to sponsor the Nigerian League? He said they want to, but they don't know anybody on the Nigerian League. But, and I gave my phone to UK Obaseki to speak with Jamil. The man who was going to Abuja, who was ready to fly to Abuja, changed his mind because of what he heard. That Glow was ready to sponsor the league. And pay much more than the initial agreed amount he had with the other sponsor. That agreement took just 24 hours. And Dr. Mike Adenuga paid a sum of 610 million naira to sponsor the league. And of course, every year, there is always an increase of 10%. Recorded. So that was how the Nigerian League got sponsorship through Globacom. And to all of us as Nigerians, we need to thank Dr. Mike Adenuga.
His diversification and expansion strategies have not only multiplied his fortunes, but have also contributed significantly to Nigeria's economic development, job creation, and societal welfare. In the world of business, especially at the grand scale that Mike Adenuga operates, it is not uncommon to come face to face with challenges. His path to becoming a billionaire was not always smooth. He had his fair share of obstacles, some of which were marred by controversy. On such instance was the legal issues he faced in the early years of his telecoms venture, Globacom. There were disputes over licensing and allegations of non-compliance with industry regulations. The Nigerian government was not always his ally. At one point, he found himself in a standoff with regulatory bodies. But what makes Adenuga's story remarkable is not just the controversy he faced, but the resilience in the face of adversity. He didn't allow these obstacles to deter him. Instead, he used them as stepping stones, turning the negative into a positive. His legal troubles were not just an obstacle, they were a test of his character. He passed with flying colors. Adenuga fought to clear his name and to ensure that his business complied with unnecessary regulation. This commitment to integrity has been a cornerstone of his success. Despite the disputes with the Nigerian government, Adenuga never lost faith in his homeland. He continued to invest in Nigeria, creating jobs, contributing to the economy. Indeed, the path to success is never easy. It is filled with trials and tribulations. But as Adenuga's story shows, it is not the challenges that defines us, but how we respond to them. Through it all, Adenuga has remained steadfast. His success, a testament to his resilience. Mike Adenuga's story is one of determination, ambition, and unparalleled success. As we delve into the legacy he has built, we uncover a narrative of resilience and visionary leadership that has left an indelible mark not only in Nigeria but across the continent and the world. His journey from taxi driver to billionaire magnate continued to inspire a generation of entrepreneurs who dare to dream and strive for success against all odds. Adenuga's contribution to the Nigerian economy are monumental. His businesses, from telecoms to oil and gas, have created thousands of jobs, fueled economic growth, and contributed significantly to the country's GDP. His generous efforts, too, have transformed lives and communities, further cementing his legacy as a leader who not only builds businesses but also uplifts society. The respect for Adenuga is universal. From world leaders to business leaders, many acknowledged and admire his entrepreneurial acumen, his relentless drive, and his unwavering commitment to excellence. His name is synonymous with success, and his story is a testament to the power of vision, hard work, and tenacity. Mike Adenuga's story is a testament to the power of ambition. His journey from the humble beginning of taxi driving and petty trading paints a vivid picture of what tenacity can bring. He treaded the paths of uncertainty and risk, but his unyielding spirit guided him through the challenges. His ascent to the pinnacle of success, becoming one of Africa's wealthiest individuals, is an inspiration.
But Adenuga likes singing one song. It's a miracle walking God. It's a miracle walking God. He's the Alpha and Omega. It's a miracle walking God. He loves him.
A drop makes a hole in a stone, not by force, but by consistent dripping. Nothing describes this woman more apt than her indomitable and consistent drive for excellence. Born Bilikisu Abiodun Moturayo Omobalanle Adekola on December 24, 1962, into the family of Alhaji Abdulmoshood Adekola, the first grandson of the first Alhaji in the city of Ibadan, and a Cameroonian mother, Mrs. Hannah Aduke Adekola, in the ancient city of Ibadan, Oyo State. While her mother was still pregnant with her, left for England to further his education. And while she was pretty much young, her mother left the country to go join her husband, to return while she was 8 years. Meanwhile, she was left to be cared for by her grandmother. She was registered in a private boarding primary school at the age of 4.
My parents had me. My father went off to England to go to school before I was born. He left my mother pregnant with me. My mother had me, and before I was a year old, left to join her husband in England, and I was left with my grandmother. I grew up with my grandmother before my parents came back like 8 years after. Spent my first, from about age 4 or 5, I was sent into a boarding nursery school. I lived in boarding school at a very early age because my parents wanted to protect me from becoming a local Ibadan girl.
And she usually attributes these to her early independence and wisdom. Omo Agbanimi, some of her friends sometimes poke fun at her wisdom, which is way beyond her age.
I was raised by my grandmother, so I'm a bit of an old woman in my brain, in how I think, as my friends say.
Her foray into business started at a very young age at her grandmother's shop where she sells salt. Little did she know that this was going to stand her in good stead in life.
My first exposure to business was my grandmother's little shop where she sold salt. And I used to love to sit behind her little kiosk and help her to sell the salt. But who knew I was being trained for business in my future?
While at secondary school, she participated in the literary debating group, excelling in it, which made her consider a career in law, though that didn't last. Also, it is worthy of note that Ibukun Awoshika could hold her own in athletics, earning her the nickname Rabbit because she could really run.
As an athlete, if you want to run, and I used to be fast, they used to call me the Rabbit.
Unsure of what career path she was going to settle for, she considered becoming many things at one point or the other of her life. After secondary school, she thought of becoming a medical doctor, but she couldn't stand the sight of a cadaver, so she let go of that idea. Later on, architecture was another fancy that caught her attention. Similarly, she also considered becoming a chartered accountant. Finally, only see she could work in a bank.
I thought I wanted to be a doctor. Then I found out that they work with real dead bodies. I changed my mind very quickly. I then thought, you know what? I'd like to be an architect. I was good in sciences and had a problem if parents sentence you to science when you're good at both. So I ended up in Ife to study chemistry. By the end of my first year, I realized how much I hated chemistry. I could pass it, but I didn't love it. So then I thought, you know, I'd make a good lawyer. I debated throughout school. I used to represent my school in school's debate. So everybody knows that I can win an argument. So I gave it everything trying to change to law. I used to go and sit outside the door of the dean of law. And then one day the man said, come, what do you want? I want to change to law. Is that why you've been sitting outside of my office? Yes, sir. Okay, if I only take one person from another department next year, it will be you.
After the completion of her undergraduate degree at the University of Ife, she went for the compulsory one-year National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, in Kano State, where she worked as an audit trainee at Akitola Williamson Co., which later became Deloitte.
For youth service, I did everything to make sure they sent me to an accounting firm. They first sent me to a Muslim school to go and teach. That was easy to solve. I just wore a dress off my shoulder. I went to report. I was immediately rejected. Once they rejected me, I went back to the posting room and waited there for days until they sent me to Akintola Williams & Co.
Although she was later given full employment after her service year, she felt becoming an accountant wasn't a thing.
You would have thought that having done or gone through all that trouble, accounting would be the love of my life. When I got there, within the 1 year of my youth service, I realized how boring accounting is to me. Because they had all the processes somebody else had thought about before. All I had to do was open old dusty files from company to company without imagination or initiative. I'm a very restless human being. That was not going to work. So I finished the work. I did well. They offered me permanent employment, but I said, thank you, but no thank you. Why? Because at that moment, I had come to a realization that that was not the vision for my life.
After returning home, she joined Alibert Nigeria Limited, a furniture company, as showroom manager. In a word, only to kill time. She only stayed for 3.5 months. She left to begin a furniture manufacturing company called Quibis Limited in 1989, just months before her 26th birthday. The company later grew into Souq Chair Center Limited following a venture merger with Souq SA and Guarantee Trust Bank in 2004.
But the first job I could find 1 week after was in a furniture company. So I went there to kill time. My kill time project has resulted in 30 years of investment of my life in building a manufacturing group in furniture. So it was never the plan of my life. So some of you will accidentally find your purpose.
One could only wonder what had led her not only to compete, but to thrive in a male-dominated terrain. With over 30 years in business, Ibukun Awoshika is a woman to reckon with, encouraging more women to participate in the business terrain. Her passion to see the girl child not just to be educated, but much more to learn to own our own value and trade with it when there is need for it. Her lifelong ambition is to see herself die empty.
My biggest ambition in life is to die empty. Totally empty. That no talents, no giftings, no opportunities, nothing that I was born to do, that I have the capacity to do, that I do not do.
Following her remarkable achievements, she's been conferred with different doctorates, including one in business, entrepreneurship and human capacity development from the Lagos State University, Ojo. Similarly, she was given a honorary doctorate of business administration from the Obafemi Awolowo University and another from the Olabisi Onabanjo University, Agoiwoye, Ogun State. Apart from our entrepreneurial prowess, Ibukun Awoshika is an ordained minister of the gospel, a presenter, writer, and a TV host.
The Bible tells us that let every man be what? A liar. And let who alone be true? Let God alone be true.
She hosts a television program called Business His Way. Also, she acted in the 2020 Kunle Afolayan movie titled Citation, which in addition to the books she had written, including Business His Way, The Girl Entrepreneur, The Girls in the Boardroom, and My Thoughts in Codes. In 2004, she earned a certification in Business Administration and Management from the IESE Business School. She's also the chairperson of the Novel Nigeria Office for Philanthropy and Impact Investment. She has consistently encouraged women to take up more leadership positions without compromising their values and integrity. In 2005, she was appointed the MD CEO of Souq SA of France, GTB PLC, the Chair Center Limited, and some local investors after the ban of the importation of furniture by the federal government of Nigeria in 2004. Furthermore, it is noteworthy to know that she independently established another ultra-modern furniture facility, Furniture Manufacturers Mart in Ikeja, Lagos. In 2008, she was among 5 Nigerian entrepreneurs who appeared in the first African version of the Dragon's Den. Unlike a great deal of others who knew exactly what they wanted to do from the beginning, she admitted to accidentally finding purpose. Ibukun Awoshika is a member of the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, a member of the board of Nigerian Sovereign Wealth Fund, a former chairperson of the Board of Trustees of Women in Management, Business and Public Service, and a member of the IESC's International Advisory Board. Furthermore, she sits on the board of Digital Jura Limited and Cabri Nigeria PLC. Additionally, she's a fellow of the African Leadership Initiative and Aspen Global Leadership Network. History was made on the 7th day of September 2015. Following the resignation of Prince Ajibola Afonja, she became the first female chair of the First Bank of Nigeria in its 126 years of existence. Ibukun Awoshika's Octo-Nigerian father, Abdul Moshood Adekola, who was a great influence in her life, passed on the 20th April 2020, after serving the Lord as an usher at the Fountain of Life Church in Ilupeju, he was a Muslim convert. He was converted few days before his 60th birthday. She got married on her 28th birthday to Abiodun Awoshika, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Excel Exploration and Production Company Limited, and they are blessed with 3 fine young men, Oludola, Olufishika, and Olamiposi. To celebrate a life of impact at 60, friends and mentees surprised Awoshika by building the Ibukun Awoshika Sports Center at our beloved secondary school, Methodist Girls High School, Yaba, Lagos. This project took about 6 months to complete and had some of our mentees like Tara Durutoye, Ndidi Okuanu, Chichi Nwoko, and Bisola Runsewe. They marshaled it alongside a team of other successful people. She stands like Joshua upon the pinnacle of the Horeb, looking to command an army of a new generation of women entrepreneurs that wouldn't stop at anything to achieving their God-given dreams. For her, she believes that regardless of how illustrious her career is and how successful she could ever get in life, her family and husband remain the most important gift in her life. Ibukun Awoshika.
Cashew nuts, ranked among Ivory Coast top cash crops, play a crucial role in the country's economy, generating substantial revenue and supporting livelihoods across the country. As the world's leading exporter of raw cashew nuts, Ivory Coast contributes an estimated $800 million annually to its economy and also serves as a vital source of income for over 410,000 families, particularly in rural areas where few other opportunities exist. Cashew trees flourish in Ivory Coast northern regions, including Bondukau and Savannahs, known for its high-quality nuts and extensive plantations, just as Worondogu and Bagwe in the North Central and Northwest are also emerging as key producers. These regions not only drive Ivory Coast cashew production, but also support local livelihoods and economic growth. However, the country with over 29 million citizens is yet to fully realize the potential of its cashew industry. Despite being the top producer, the country processes only 7% of its cashew domestically, resulting in lost opportunities for value addition and job creation. Specifically, a recent data reveals that only 22% of the country's cashew nut output was processed domestically in 2023, even as the volatility of global cashew prices poses risks to farmers' income and overall economic stability. Concerns also arise regarding labor practices in some cashew farms and the environmental impact of deforestation for new plantations. To address these challenges and maximize the benefit of its cashew industry, Ivory Coast must focus on key strategies moving forward. These include investing in local processing facilities to boost job creation, export value, and farmers' incomes. Furthermore, the Ivorian government body overseeing the cashew sector, ARECA, must promote fair trade practices and ethical sourcing to ensure better prices for farmers and improve working conditions. Sustainable farming practices will also help to protect the environment and ensure long-term cashew production. According to a recommendation made at a workshop organized by the World Bank, Tax exemptions and access to credit facilities will help to tackle some of these challenges. Furthermore, the private sector can also invest in research to develop high-yielding cashew varieties, improve processing techniques, explore new cashew products, as well as develop and implement digital platforms that connect farmers to market in order to facilitate financial transactions. Organizations like the Africa Cashew Initiative, ACI, must also assist in data compilation in the value chain at macro, meso, and micro level. By addressing this and harnessing its cashew potential, the country can further enhance its economy and build a more sustainable future for its citizens. Israel Adeyemi reporting for Souq News.
We've got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas Touch, and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix, and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.
Good afternoon to you and welcome to the World News, reaching you live from our studios in the commercial city of Lagos. I am Oyinpriye Krumale. First, let's begin with today's top stories. The federal government of Nigeria sets 16 as the minimum age for university admission, warns against age falsification. Nigeria launches Mission 300 to tackle electricity poverty. United States of America threatens Nigeria with 10% tariff over BRICS membership. Moving on, IMF warns Nigeria's poor at risk without stronger social safety nets. Now, the federal government has now set 16 years as the minimum age for admission into tertiary institutions in Nigeria. The Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa, made the announcement during the 2025 Joint Admission and Matriculation Board policy meetings in Abuja. He said the decision aligns students' cognitive development with academic demands, stressing that 16 is non-negotiable, although gifted exceptions will be considered on a case-by-case basis. Dr. Alausa also warned institutions against falsifying age records, saying strict sanctions will follow. In the same meeting, the minister revealed plans to tackle examination malpractices, including the creation of a central malpractice unit and full support for computer-based testing in WAEC and NECO exams. The House of Representatives Committee on Maritime Safety has approved a budget proposal of 774.7 billion naira for Nigeria Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, for the year 2025. The approval came during a budget defense session with the agency in Abuja. Presenting the breakdown, NIMASA's Executive Director of Finance, Mr. Chidi Ofodile, said the 264 billion naira will be available for operations after statutory deductions. Revenue sources include freight levies, ship registration, and a new modular floating dock. However, lawmakers questioned the feasibility of the ambitious target, pointing out a revenue shortfall of 97 billion naira in 2024 and a sharp rise in personnel cost from 42 billion to 73 billion naira. The committee also expressed concern over how NIMASA intends to fund capital projects, given that 50% of its income must now be remitted to the federal treasury. And NIMASA attributed the revenue projection to improved systems and rising oil production. The committee, meanwhile, urged the agency to release 200 billion naira already approved for development projects at the Maritime Academy in Akwa Ibom State. Moving on, the federal government of Nigeria has launched the Mission 300 initiative to expand electricity access and reduce energy poverty nationwide. The program aims to connect 300 million people across Africa the year 2030, with Nigeria selected among the first 12 participating countries. On July 8, the Ministries of Power and Finance will host a high-level stakeholder forum in the Federal Capital Territory. The event will bring together government officials, private sector leaders, and international development partners to outline how the initiative will be implemented and financed. To deliver on the goals, the government has established a compact delivery and monitoring unit. This unit will coordinate national reforms focused on increasing electricity access, scaling renewable energy, and boosting clean cooking solutions as part of broader economic development efforts. Now, Nigeria and the Netherlands have begun formally talks to revise the Lagos long-standing tax agreement. I beg your pardon. The move follows the signing of new tax reform laws by President Bola Tinubu last week. Dr. Adedeji described the talks as timely, saying the recent tax reforms and global standards have made a review of outdated agreements necessary. The Dutch envoy said the talks reflect goodwill and mutual trust and expressed optimism about reaching a fair and modernized deal. The renegotiation comes ahead of the January 2026 rollout of the Nigerian Revenue Service, part of a broader effort to restructure the country's tax ecosystem. Now, President Donald Trump has threatened to impose an additional 10% tariff on Nigerian exports in response to the country's growing alignment with the BRICS alliance. In a post on his Truth Social platform, Donald Trump declared there would be no exceptions, citing Nigeria's official admission into BRICS in January as grounds for the measure. The warning follows fresh criticism from BRICS leaders who condemned unilateral trade actions at their recent summit in Brazil. Trump, however, defended his approach, accusing members of unfair practices and warning on broader tariff unless new trade deals are reached by August the 1st. The International Monetary Fund says Nigeria's poorest citizens remain exposed as economic reforms take hold without strong support systems in place. In a new article, the IMF said while the government's reforms like ending fuel subsidies and liberalizing the foreign exchange market are helping stabilize the economy, millions are still struggling with poverty and high inflation. The fund noted that inflation remains above 20%, electricity access is limited, and oil revenue, making up 30% of government income, remains volatile. It warned that without an effective social safety net, the burden of these reforms will continue to fall on vulnerable Nigerians. The IMF is now urging the government to scale up cash transfers and improve budget transparency. It also recommends investing savings from subsidy removal into infrastructure and human capital achievement for more inclusive growth. We'll take a break and bring you more stories, business and policy updates after this. To stay with us.
My name is Shino Gbadegeshin. I'm the CEO of Gozi Micro Insurance. Continue to watch Souq News.
Adenike Adeyemi, Executive Director of Faith Foundation. Keep watching Souq News.
My name is Shepherd Michael Adewale Onofuye. I enjoin you all to always watch Souqnews TV.
Hey everyone, Majuli Obaje here representing Gigi. Keep watching Souq News, okay? Stay updated with Souq News.
My name is Aton Keme. I am the head of MSME banking. Please keep watching Souq News and stay glued to Souq News.
I recommend that more and more people should watch Souqnews News because they deal with business news.
Hi, my name is Amaka Wokolo. I am the director of the Faith Institute at Faith Foundation. Keep watching Souq News.
At the African Development Studies Center, ADSC, we are committed to driving sustainable growth and development across Africa through innovative training and research. Our mission, empowering leaders, policymakers, and professionals with the tools they need to create lasting change. With customized training, dynamic research programs, and study exchanges on leadership, management, and other critical development topics, ADSC offers a platform for exchanging cutting-edge ideas and global best practices. We provide comprehensive services in research and consultancy, capacity building and training, education programs, publishing and knowledge sharing. Our esteemed faculty, composed of seasoned experts and researchers, ensures a learning experience that is insightful and practical. We specialize in policy development, implementation strategies, and monitoring and evaluation. At ADSC, learning is engaging and enjoyable. Our unique methodology includes talks, interactive exercises, games, video screenings, and lively seminar discussions, all in a comfortable and friendly environment. For more information, email us at info@adstudiescenter.com or call +234 912 039 2362. Visit our website www.adstudiescenter.com to explore our programs and upcoming events. Africa Development Studies Center, rethinking development for Africa.
Welcome back. Many thanks for joining us on the program. Now, Ghana's tourism industry has bounced back stronger than ever, recording its highest earnings in history, according to the latest reports from the Ghana Tourism Authority. The country welcomed over 1.28 million international visitors in 2024, a 12% rise from the previous year. The surge generated $4.8 billion in revenue, making a new milestone for the sector. The United States, Nigeria, and the United Kingdom remained Ghana's top tourism markets, with Nigeria alone recording a 25% increase in arrivals. Officials said the growth was driven by strong market campaigns and initiatives like the See Ghana, Eat Ghana, Wear Ghana, and Feel Ghana. The Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Tourism Authority, Mame Efua Haudejo, described tourism as a key driver of economic transformation. She called for improved infrastructure and deeper stakeholder collaboration to sustain the momentum. Now, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has criticized a planned 30% tariff by the United States, calling it unfair and based on incorrect trade data. The tariff is part of a broader move by President Donald Trump targeting 14 countries, including South Africa, with higher import duties starting August the 1st. Ramaphosa insists that the average tariff on U.S. goods entering South Africa is just 7.6% and says 77% of American goods already enter the country duty-free. Talks between both nations are ongoing, and South Africa is urging local exporters to explore new markets. The country warns that citrus industry alone could lose up to 35,000 jobs if the tariffs go ahead. Now, moving on to India, is planning to import about 10% of its cooking gas from the United States starting from 2026 as part of a broader strategy to reduce reliance on the Middle East and strengthen trade with Washington, D.C. The shift follows China's new tariffs on United States propane, which has opened a pricing window for India and the state refiners to increase purchases. India also plans to remove import duties on United States propane and butane used for liquefied petroleum gas production, while liquefied petroleum gas demands are rising at an annual rate of up to 6%. India imports are projected to reach 23 million tons by 2026. The move is expected to support India's goal of narrowing its trade gap and diversifying energy sources. Now, China has cautioned the United States against reviving tariff tensions, warning it may retaliate if countries strike supply chain deals that sidelines Beijing. This follows President Donald Trump's move to reintroduce steep import duties on Chinese goods starting on the 1st of August, unless a new trade deal is reached. Beijing threw a commentary in the state-run People's Daily called the tariff plan bullying and insisted that dialogue remains the only viable path. China must uphold its trade principles, the article stated, while cautioning that any nation aligning with the United States against China's economic interest will face consequences. And that's a wrap on the world news, reaching you live from our studios at Souq News Television. Many thanks for watching. Do well to follow us on all our social media platforms at Souqnews TV. I am Oyempri Krumale. Good afternoon to you.
Welcome to the Africa Development Studies Center, ADSC. ADSC is an organization focused on training and research to advance sustainable development and growth in Africa. We exist to facilitate customized training, research, and study exchanges worldwide on leadership, management, and critical development issues. The center offers a platform for the exchange of ideas and best practices. Our comprehensive services encompass research, consultancy, capacity building, training, and education programs, as well as publishing and disseminating development-related knowledge. Our faculty consists of experts and researchers with extensive experience in policy formulation, implementation techniques, and monitoring and evaluation. Our methodology involves talks, individual and group exercises, games, video screenings, and discussion seminar sessions in a cozy atmosphere, making learning enjoyable for our participants. For more information, email us at info@adstudiescenter.com or call +234 912 039 2362. Visit our website at www.adstudiescenter.com to learn more about our programs and upcoming events. Africa Development Studies Center, rethinking development for Africa.
In 1957, just a greenhorn, leaving school and looking for a job, going into broadcasting was something that I dreamt of. But that's only meant going into radio, because my old school, Holy Child College, still on the same site in Obalende, 2 streets away from the old NBC. I still can't forgive whoever changed the name to something else that is being called now FRCN. Because if the BBC remains BBC 100 years after the founding fathers, dreamt of starting television, radio from, all the war years and learning a bit from America. It all started from America. Because we were taught about all this. Every time they took us from school to take part in, school's debates on radio, we just walked across. It's all in Balinde and Ikoyi, Balinde/Ikoyi. So I dreamt of doing something along the line. And then one of my teachers left us high and dry. He went to be a newsreader on radio. Marie Tabio, who later became Mrs. Irikefe. Then we had people like Tung Adedoyin and Souq. We used to listen to them on radio on the old, you wouldn't know anything about that now, the rediffusion. It was just, a little box in your home. And everybody looked forward to either listening to the 7 o'clock news in the morning or 6 o'clock or 7 in the evening. So that was all all I had to do with broadcasting. And who was going to take me there was another matter altogether. Who would take you, little 16, 17-year-old girl, into broadcasting? But one had been bitten by the bug then. So, and only God knows where whatever dream you had was going to lead to. We read poetry, we did radio show, stage shows in school. Catholic schools were very good for that. And my old school, just celebrating 150 years of its existence, just down the road from here on Broad Street. The nuns, they were all white nuns. No Nigerian nuns at the time that we were growing up. So all the dream they had, this kind of dream that we have now, going to England, but they were coming here to teach us. So I had learnt a lot of poetry, I had taken part in Festival of Arts, and I had gone to, the biggest hall we had then was at King's College, which is also down the road. Means of transportation was your SS foot. No BRT, no bicycles or whatever. So we did it all just walking around and learning from our teachers. And of course, our mentors were the nuns, like I said. So in my wildest dream, there was no way that I was thinking of going into anything like broadcasting. That is going back to answer your question. But they had a lot of plans for the girl child. And not along the religious lines now, but actually they came to actually engender this whole idea of pushing the girl child forward. And not just me, a lot of us. People like Mrs. Francesca Emmanuel, they also went through the whole gamut of all this dream that I'm talking about. Television itself was brand new in the world. I have to talk about radio because that was what I knew as a child. But television, when it started, we didn't even know. Maybe in America, and then it went to Australia, and then to France. No. France came after Nigeria. You wouldn't believe that, would you? That we were number 6. America, Britain, Germany, Australia, one other country, and coming now home to Nigeria, where you cannot help but give a lot of credit to the dreams of people like late Chief Obafemi Awolowo and one of his ministers then, Chief Anthony Enahoro. So that's how I believe this whole package was placed on their laps. and sold to Nigeria, to the Western Nigeria government. On the radar were lots of other people like me who had dreams about becoming Miss Nigeria. So maybe that will now give you a little background about how I took part in the Miss Nigeria pageant, Western Nigeria, and I became Miss Western Nigeria. Somebody must have fine-tuned some little knots somewhere and said, okay, you probably might be able to deliver. Because you are being interviewed when you go before the panel of judges. And somebody must have said, okay, that's a good material, you can come and take part in this. Before then, we had other people, Anike Agbaje-Williams, Poliola Souq, who were working on radio. My dream was to work in radio, but then I missed that. And I was nursing, that dream of still going to radio. Never knew what television was all about. So maybe that answers your question, I'm not sure. But I took part in the Miss Western Nigeria pageant and I won. Took part in the Miss Nigeria contest and came second. So that meant that I didn't win. And if one of the, maybe the prize was to go on TV, it wasn't even there. It wasn't written into the, program that whoever did this, but the person was going to go to England. And so Helena Yemeluna, who won that contest, went to London and fulfilled her own dream. But I was still biting my nails, waiting for when I'll be able to get a job. There were other things that girls could do. You could be a nurse, you could be a teacher, you could be an assistant, a dental assistant. All those were things that young ladies, can, fulfill their dreams along those lines. They're still there. You still have young ladies. Mrs. Muritala Muhammad, the first time I met her, she was a dental assistant. Little did we know that her husband was going to be the head of state and she would be fair. So you see, lots of things were there for the young girl who wanted to learn, who had the talent, and who wanted to perform, and who wanted to work hard. But now I don't know if girls want to work hard. All they want is, the table to be set, and then they come and, partake of whatever is there. It wasn't too difficult at the time that I was picked as one of the people to come and appear in WNTV. The audition was actually carried out before my time. I got involved in so many other things, trying to get a job, something to secure, something, to alleviate poverty. There was not too much poverty in Nigeria at the time because people could still eke a living for themselves and, get by in society. But I was lucky that I had an aunt who was a nurse in the hospital in Ibadan, UCH in Ibadan. And she was married to an Englishman, and the man's friend happened to have been the man, Mr. Mathers, who was brought as one of the technical partners to WNTV. So we met at a dinner party, and just as you and I are chatting, I was only 18 plus. I was 17 when I took part in the pageant. But by this time, I was growing up, and I thought I was a big girl. So I opened my mouth, and I said a few things. And the man looked at me and said, how come you are not speaking with a Nigerian accent? And I didn't know what he meant, because we were taught at St. Mary's to deliver whatever lines we were given to deliver. The Festival of Arts, I came second after an English boy from Corona School. And I was given a beating for coming second. Not because I didn't perform well, but because I forgot to curtsy. And one of the judges, I think, who was then Mrs. Abayomi, Lady Abayomi, said that I delivered my lines very well. So I was the Lord of Tartary. I would do this and that and the other. So I came second. And when I got back to the school, the nun, Sister Marieta, said, you were not paying attention. So whatever you do in life, you have to be consistent, you have to perform well, the way we're trying to do now, the way we're trying to project your voice and whatever it is you have to offer with a lot of humility, not, trying to show off or to project your own image, or whatever message you have to deliver, you have to make sure that it is well delivered. The following year, St. Mary's Convent School, which is my old school, which is 150 years old in existence, went to the same King's College Hall, and we beat a lot of secondary schools. We came first. Pied Piper of Hamelin. Have you ever heard of that poetry? Pied Piper of Hamelin was about someone who wanted to get rid of all the rats in Europe. And all he did was to play the pipe. So that is what we were more or less doing. That's what you and I have felt. Being a Pied Piper, trying to get off all the ills in society. That's the main job of a broadcaster. There's so many things happening in the country, and it's only TV and radio that binds the country together. If the country falls apart tomorrow, you will rely on someone from radio or from television to make the announcement, to introduce the head of state who had just won the election, or the one who had just taken over. It's a huge responsibility. At that age, at 19, we had to introduce people like Chief Obafemi Awolowo on TV. We had to introduce people like Akintola, Oladoke Akintola, as the premier. And when everything broke down and it all went into smithereens, they brought in Chief Majekodumi as the administrator of the Western region. All this happening before our eyes. There were no other stations in the country except WNTV. And we were there, so we learned quite a lot. In fact, I believe that the whole country revolves around broadcasting. And if you are part of that organization, how would you feel at my age, at 80-something? As young people, perhaps you don't know all this history that I'm telling you about. It's a long, long story. But when you sit down, you have to put it all into perspective. You see that, well, some people are actually meant to be in different positions. Some people are meant to be doctors. Some people are meant to be nurses. For those of us that are in broadcasting, it's a huge responsibility. It's a passion. Something. Sometimes you don't even know how you got there in the first place. Or somebody may have discovered you. It's like being in Hollywood in those days. Someone has to develop. So you have the talent, the latent talent, and then somebody will discover you. So that's how I was discovered by Mr. Mathers at a dinner. I was put in that place because I had won the Miss Western Nigeria contest. If I hadn't done that, I probably would be somewhere in the kitchen washing plates, washing all the dishes. So there you are, if that answers your question. Well, there's no one that actually picks someone and puts you plonk without... I mean, of course, if you don't have any experience on the job, you have no business being there in the first place. But if I had taken part in Pied Piper of Hamelin Towns in Brunswick, I was only 13. By a famous Hanover City, I was speaking like an English person. When I was only a Nigerian, little girl, being nurtured, by my mother, who was a seamstress, how would you ever get there? But you already have that background, that solid background on the rock, as it were. So, by the time I was ready to go on TV, I had learnt from all the other, people that I mentioned their names earlier, like Anike Agbaje Williams. And I wouldn't say it was easy, because you always have that, butterfly fluttering in front of the camera or wherever. I think I took to television like I was meant to be there. With all humility. If I had been groomed by all these nuns that I have mentioned their names, you know, they came to Nigeria to serve the people. They were not earning salaries, you know. To become a nun, you have to take the oath of obedience, chastity, poverty, and all that. So you're not earning a salary. But whoever is there now is thinking of how much money he's going to get from whatever take comes from here, there, and yonder. So they taught us well. And nobody said you're going to go and appear on TV or you're going to be on radio. But just do what you're meant to do properly. With a lot of sense of responsibility and diligence. And that stands at the back of your mind. That goes everywhere with you, wherever you go in life. Even when I was nursing a sick child, my late son was a sick child. And I was meant to take part in Verdict 79 with my colleagues Kerry Ahmed and Adamu Aogi. They all came with me to the hospital, which is just next door here. And then we came back and mounted the podium and continued our business as if nothing was happening. He didn't die at the time, of course, but the job must go on. That is always there at the back of your mind. So my first night, I wouldn't say that I didn't have any jitters, you know, that I was not nervous. But I was able to deliver, and I think that was the staying power. That was what kept me going, because other people came on board. I was not the only one. All the members of the board had their own, you know, little nephews and nieces that they wanted to project on TV. They all came and they couldn't make it. But Anike and I kept going. And if you gave me a script now, I think I would try and... We didn't have too many, what do you call it then, teleprompters. But I was very good at, you know, I had a photographic memory. So I was able to get hold of the script, and in less than 60 seconds, I'll be able to deliver it straight to the camera. That was one of the assets that I had also, which was God's gift. It's not by own might or whatever you think you have. You have the talent, of course, but also there has to be some other little bits of gifts that, you know, will help you to project the image of the professional. A lot of controversy. There is hardly any TV, radio, movie personality that can scale through that without any, because people are watching, people are trying to find their own little, you know, base of criticism here, there, and yonder. You can't be a goody, you know, 2 shoots without, you know, any, how shall I say it, problem here, there, and yonder. So everybody has their own way of looking at people. People say, well, what has she got to do? She went to take part in Miss Western Nigeria the other day. So what's the big deal about her? And then somebody will still add their own salt and pepper here and there. But I was lucky that I was being nurtured by someone like G.O.S. Benson, who was then our Minister for Information. And he felt that, you know, everything should not stop here. There were things happening in America. He made sure that my name was there. I was at the inauguration of President Johnson, Lyndon Johnson. And we commanded a lot of attention there, myself and my colleague who came from Lagos, the station in Lagos. And for the president to notice that there were two black people sitting behind him at his inaugural ball, I think it was very overwhelming for me because not many black people had invitation to that event. But Charity Adadevo and I were there, and he stood up and shook our hands where we were sitting behind, 3 rows behind the president. Then Kennedy had died, and we were still nothing, we were still feeling very hot about, the loss of Kennedy. And here was the new president coming up. We were not particularly keen on being welcomed by him. But then, things like that happen to you, and it makes headline news. 2 black people, they didn't even say Nigerians. They thought we were from Ghana because some journalists came around and said, "How is your man Nkrumah?" And we said, "No, our own Prime Minister is Tafawa Balewa." They never heard of him then. But then they had to go and carry out their own study and find out who Tafawa Balewa was. And of course, the whole country was very proud of us that we went and actually stole the show at the inauguration of President Lyndon Johnson. So many other things happened. When I came to London, the British Information Office, they were trying to look for someone to host their program. That host happened to be around, so they picked me to host their program. But you don't ad-lib on any of those stations. Everything is written out. The questions, even your answer will be written. You can change it around a little bit, but they make sure that you said the right thing at the right time. So that was how we were able to gain attention. German television also invited us because they were interested in Nigeria. See how the German chancellor came to Nigeria. That was what happened at the time. In 1963, we had just become a republic then, from being an independent station in 1960. By 1963, we then became a republic. And we were chosen to go and appear on German television in Berlin. And they wanted a little bit of culture. So Benson had his own band. So we were chosen to go and represent Nigeria then. Nobody knew who the ambassador was, but they wanted to know who was presenting something on TV. So that's how important television has been. And that, in fact, we were the first television in the whole of Africa. The very first station, WNTV, that was a call signal. WNTV, first in Africa. There's nothing like that now. Nobody wants to know whether you are first or second. But the station that is being run in Nigeria, I think, has the largest number of stations than any other country in Africa. We have about 21 stations, and now it's still, still counting. And yours is coming on board, and so many others. I think next to America, Nigeria should have been the best country for television broadcasting in the whole world. There's not so many countries in the world that has as many stations as Nigeria. We only have to put our heads together. We only have to find joy in whatever we're doing. Sometimes when it's raining, people say, "Oh, it's raining," and they feel very bad about the rain. But if you look closely, behind that rain, there will be sunshine, there will be something else coming on. You see some silver clouds coming during the rain, but Nigerians don't have the patience to wait for that kind of thing. That's what television teaches you. If you're in the studio, you don't know what's happening outside. You just get on with the job. That's what we were taught. We were taught not by Nigerians. Even when we started, we couldn't go on air and ad-lib. There was always someone there, Mr. Blackledge, to write the script. And if you can commit that to memory and deliver it, they're home and dry. It's not everyone that has a gift, not everyone that has a talent. It's God-given. And if you listen as a child at 17, 18, 19. At my own age, I learned from school, and I was able to impart this into the job. So within a few months, we got double promotion, all of us, because we were doing very well. Anika Agbadewumi was excellent. Olasope was superb. And so many other people reading the news. We were the first female to read the news. Women were not allowed to read the news. Nigeria started it. BBC wouldn't allow a woman to pick up a script and read the news. We were already there. So that's how we were able to gain this global attention that you mentioned. It's not easy. It's not easy. Like I said, when we were taught by, not by Nigerians, but somebody came along the line and said, we don't have to speak like English people. You can just carry on and use your own parochial background. If you are a Robo man, you can speak English the way you like. That was his own idea, because he didn't believe in us doing all this la-di-da and trying to, say things the proper way. But that watered down the standards a bit. Because then everybody, maybe he had a relation who wanted to appear on TV, and he wasn't allowed to because he couldn't speak like Ikenanda Goba or Bojalalade and things like that, or Friday Fude or Mike Nahuru. So somebody must have gone to him and said, because he doesn't speak like any of those people who were taught by, foreign teachers, people who had learned, people who knew what a DJ, we had a Bible then, that you had to pronounce your words correctly. So he came and said, now that I'm DG, I'm not going to tolerate all this, your English way of speaking. And some other people, of course, that watered down the standards. That's not our own making. We were still ready to continue the way we were doing, but then they pushed us to the background. But there were others who were able to perform well. Ruth Benamesia, Opia, Siene Oweba, and of course Bimbo Oloyede, who was born in England. If you already employed those people to deliver the goods and to present your programs, you're not going to sack all of them because they speak with English accent. I don't see how that can be an offense. Cannot be, guilty of speaking English well, like the English people. But they then brought out other people. And you had the head of presentation. I became head of the presentation after I came under Guba. And you're trying to prepare your roster. You wanted to put such people online to read the network news. And they say, okay, bring somebody who can speak like the Radije Didu and do a little bit of Ewe on the side. It's part of our culture. So that is what is happening to TV broadcasting in Nigeria. It's all very interesting. So, this cultural milieu and bringing, a touch of Nigeria. Nigeria is doing well. In that aspect, in the music world, I think we're leading. Some of us who grew up on Handel's Messiah and Mozart, we have to sort of put our hands behind our back now and watch, all the way things have turned around. And Nigerian music is doing well. Afrobeat is reigning everywhere in the world. So really you can't find faults with that. So when they watch a bit of Fela and his children and all his grandchildren doing well, then listen to the channels on TV, you have to take what you get from there as well. If somebody can wake up one day and say, why should your station be called the Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation? I say it should now be Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria. Tongue twisting. Takes a long time to come to terms with. If everyone wake up in the morning and say, this is Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation, you have the call signal. Da 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 da. This is the Nigerian Broadcasting whatever. How are you going to put that, into context with the new one? First of all, when you wake up, you don't know whether you are even coming out of the right side of your bed or not. You're going to have to face your audience and say, we are no more the Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation. We are now Federal whatever, which you don't even know where the man, who came up with the idea. He didn't even consult you, didn't even put it to test. If the British corporation, they are going to change from BBC after 100 years, they will ask the whole nation, they will say, where are we going to take this from? They will ask everybody, they will do a census, they will do all kinds of things, carry out all kinds of tests to see whether people will accept it from them. No. Nigerians are very hard and cut and dry. This is the way I want it. I'm the head of state, so I can change everything now and, all of you can start marching forward and march back again. Soldier go, soldier come. I think Fela would have been a good head of state for Nigeria because he would have got some people marching the right way. So, I think that is what has happened to this country. But we will still settle down. The soldiers that have been marching since, they will do attention one day. And then we'll be able to sort ourselves out gradually. I think we're going through the right process now. People are beginning to find their own feet. If things go around, price of goods go up, Nigerians will find a way to come to terms with that. When we were growing up, everything was done. We won't say according to the colonial rules and regulations, but at least there were standards that were set down for you and things that you had to toe the line. This is the proper way to do things. But if somebody says, no, let's turn around and turn it upside down. First stack. It's the only thing that has moved to the whole world from Nigeria, that shook the whole world. That brought everybody attention to see what Africa has to offer the whole world. It happened here on this soil in Nigeria. I was a member of the ceremonial committee. I remember the opening ceremony. There were about 15 heads of state. We've never had anything like that since then. That is what we should ask ourselves. Every head of state that takes over from Nigeria should find out again. It's not from broadcasting that you can get the answer. You can get the answer from technocrats who had worked in all those areas. What happened? How come it couldn't happen again? It's like Armageddon. Every country was represented. Every culture was represented. Miriam Akiva was watching us and called us at the station one day and said, even from the way we linked programs, they couldn't expect that it could be happening in Nigeria. We received phone calls. People were sending us bottles of champagne on the air. The links. Bimbo Oloyede was there with me. I was at the opening ceremony. I was yanked from there to come back to the station. From, interacting with the head of state or with our head of state at the time to come and man the station because what was phenomenal. How come we've not been able to do it? 77 years, how long ago was that? I was only 37 years old then. I'm going on 90 now. It hasn't happened again. We should examine that. Even the head of state that was there is still alive. Let us ask him again. Let us put him down and say, Oga, please explain to us what happened. Some people came up with a theory that the symbol that was used was fetish, that is what has happened and Nigeria has turned upside down. If that is acceptable, it may be superstitious in your eyes, but let us find out. Let's go call the Babalawo. Is it bad that it is a Nigerian that carved this image? And it is making news outside the world. Now you say, no, it is not good that Nigeria should be able to project an image that would attract the whole world, something that will bring everybody on their knees. After the first attack, we were still recovering, just batting in the glory of first attack. What's this artist, the blind one, who was not part of it, who didn't believe in it? He came and had his own first attack, all on his own, from America. Stevie Wonder, he came with his whole team. We had to mount all the cameras back in the studio for him. He had his own 7-day festival here in Nigeria. What prompted him to do that? Other people came. They wanted to know what was happening in Nigeria. What has happened? We couldn't have another festival since then. What do you think went wrong? Nothing went wrong. Everything went so well that people wanted to destroy, our own Nigerian people wanted to destroy the glory that's this whole thing that's emanated from it. It hit the whole world. People are asking, when you go to Britain, you say, what happened? Why aren't you having? I had a friend who was head of the, he was from the British Guyana, a black guy. He was friends with everybody. He knew all Nigerians. Said, what happened? Why are you going to have another festa? Professor Ian Hall, he keeps asking me. Even if we can't have it because it was very expensive anyway, Nigeria had all the money. Even though we had a coup after, it was first of all the brainchild of Gawan. And then Muritala came on board. Muritala was killed, but in spite of that, they couldn't kill that dream of having a festac in Nigeria. If we are able to bring out all those programs again, I think we'll be able to answer those questions. I'm still alive. There are a lot of people who will still want to know the answer to that. It's a very, very brilliant question that you have asked. I think if it was another country, we'll set up an inquiry and say, what happened? Can we resuscitate this whole dream? Some of the tapes that we had then in WNTV, some people put them in one place and set fire to them because they felt maybe somebody in their religious organization said, you are the one projecting all these things, so Nigerians are bringing idols around. Who gave them the idea to make the idol? It's God now. It's from God. Whatever thing you were able to put together. The Bible was put together because God loved the world so much and he wanted us to learn about, things that had gone out from the time of Adam and Eve. God loved the whole world and created Muhammad and said, put people together and let them say Allah Akbar every day, morning, noon, night. God created so many wonderful things for us, so many images that we can imbibe from, so many things that we can learn from. People want to come and learn about our country. Instead, we say, we want our sculptures back. What are you going to do with them? You don't have a museum where you're going to put them to make them thrive and people come here to Nigeria. It's a good idea for them to come, but if they learn about your country, what your people have done over the past 2,000 years. 2,000 years of Nigeria image was put together by the BBC. Nigeria went and tore it up in shreds. He tore it up. He said, what are you doing with that? What you call bad belly. I don't know if anybody sang a song with that title. If we maybe start from there and say, what do you do with your own bad belly? Some people, they are not stadium. There is no theater in England, in London, that I know that I've gone to watch plays and things that have not been in existence for over 500 years. So many studios. We have one big one, the dream of Nigerians. And now we want to go and do banking there. We want to go and do trade. It's supposed to be for culture, for our own culture. Lagos State will be dragging federal government by the neck and say, no, we own the theater now. And we want somebody to come and do something there. If we can only put all these things behind us, the evil that people have done in the past, people like Julius Caesar, when they were writing all those, when Shakespeare was writing all those things like that have happened in the past. We should examine them. Get people like Wale Soyinka to sit down and rewrite the whole history again. If they ask me questions like you're asking me now, I will be there to answer. Because I saw it all unfold before my eyes. The image of Nigeria will come tops. All the stations in Nigeria should get involved and do stories on this question that you've asked me. A very salient question, and I love it so much. That might be able to revive the image of this country and let us know where we are heading, in what direction, and bring us back to really the point of salvation. Well, I haven't seen it. I must have mentioned it somewhere, I think on one of the channels. When they was trying to build the scandal around it, and I said, and I tried to put the record straight. That wasn't really what happened. And that, it was from, I think it was from a book that was written by one of the wives that said that I was party to his breakdown of their marriage. And I was trying to put the record straight that that wasn't really the true picture. I with due respect, I have to, bow wherever I come in the presence of a president of this nation, past, present, or even present, yes. I hope I'll still be around when we have others coming on board. But I was taken aback that the head of state would ask me a question that, because in the past, we were in the studios when the head of state came, and we were given scripts. If there had been, there have been several coups, and it's always the presenter or the station like that, the managers that take the brunt of the whole, the issue when things like that happen. You don't know who is coming. You don't know how many jeeps are going to be coming in. You don't know how many, what you call all those heavy equipment that they drive in as they are coming into the studio. You don't know where they are going to shoot the station down. Nobody knows that. It's only the people who have worked during that period that can relay those experiences. Sometimes you're at work in the morning, by the time you come back in the afternoon, the government has changed. And if you haven't got maybe your ID card, you won't be allowed into the station, or somebody can throw you in or into jail. So all this had happened in the past. Nobody has told any of these stories. People like Segun Lushola or Dr. Kolade. Somebody might come and say, so has happened. I was driving my former husband to work in the morning. I dropped him at the station. By the time I reached home, there had been a coup. Murtala had been killed. And they were under siege, the whole station. Just imagine that kind of scenario. Things like that had happened in the past. But Nigerians don't have that sense of history that wants to sit down and say, well, we want to ensure that it doesn't happen again. Of course, we'll pray that it doesn't happen again. And you wake up in the morning and somebody is announcing something else, different from what you have. A colleague of ours had been, pushed into something that he wasn't aware of. Those are kind of situations that have happened in the past. But this one, we were all dressed in ceremonial costume and trying to, I was the only one that was asked to stay in the presidential, what do you call it, special area that is demarcated for head of states on issues like that. And all of a sudden, the president is following me all about. And I said, this is getting too close for comfort. And I said, what's your name again? I said, my name is Julie Coker. I was trying to play innocent, that I didn't know what was happening. He said, hey, how much did your dress cost? Can't have, sorry, sir. I don't think I'm the proper person to answer that question, sir. Yeah, you don't have answer. It's a bit unprofessional. I mean, not in the profession per se that we mean, but I wasn't prepared for that kind of thing. So I must have given a rude answer to that. And then, before I knew it, Adel Lanwa, who was then the head of Navy, came to me and said, you have been very rude to the president. The president said, he asked you a question and you couldn't answer. I said, good morning, Mr. President, sir. Because when we introduce them on TV, that's how we introduce them. We're now going to be addressed by a new head of state, Mr. So, sir. And I said, he should go and ask the president of Souq. I'm sure he has a record of what the question is asking me can be answered, better answered by the president of Souq. If he finds that unbearable or rude, then either that one is not doing his work well or I'm not doing my work well and I don't belong here. But I carried on regardless. Shortly after that, another top army officer, Joseph Daruba, that one was the tallest man next to Ufwe Bonye, or the one from Mali. And he said, Julie, I know you can be rude at times. I said, not on this occasion. This is a wonderful occasion for the whole nation. And I'm trying to be my best behavior. And he said, the president said, you're being very rude to him. He said, I know you, maybe you can say things. And I said, no, I never. He asked how much the dress cost. And I don't think I have an answer, which may contradict what will be on record if you really examine it thoroughly. I was getting very nervous at the time. So I dropped everything and disappeared from the scene, and I never went back again. But the thing reverberated right down to all the committees and members. My late auntie, what's her name? Kentebe, which was a lady, commodore of the Navy. She said, Julie, I think she heard that she was going to be sacked that day because the naval officer sent to her and said, you are the one that did this. And I said, can never, God forbid, can never reach me because I'm not in the forces. I'm doing my own job here as a professional broadcaster. Well, I think it has reached a stage now where whatever you say might be taken against you because there are so many people going to court now and people sent to jail, but things were not as bad as they are now because some of the gory stories we hear and people being, penalized and sent to jail, I think it has reached an astronomical level that it's something that's actually, maybe it was there and people did not want to open the canker worms and let us see what is really happening. In my own case, it was a deliberate attempt on the part of an aunt of mine who felt that there's no child that should continue going to school at a certain age. And they were trying to arrange for me to get married to somebody. And it's a tradition of our people, in Delta, to find out whether the girl is still a virgin. Then they go and look for one old man. It's not this, the one that is happening is child abuse now. I don't know what to call that one. There are other cases too of children being sold into, prostitution and to apply this a trade that by some madams, which is not really acceptable. But there are other areas that maybe some parents cannot pay for their children's school fees, so they send them, into child labor or whatever. I think every child should be given a chance to have, proper education. If Awolowo can start free and fair education to children, whether all genders, boys and girls, see what the results that have come out of that. But in some other parts of Nigeria, they believe that that it's not acceptable in their religion, and so they still keep the children down and send them into early marriage. And a lot of people have dealt, people like Dr. Simi Johnson, they were in the front of that vanguard to liberate the children who have been kept, into powder at age 13. And when they have children, they are not able, either they die, premature deaths from, being too early to go into pregnancies and have the children properly and things like that. Different stages, it's a very serious issue that actually I think has been well looked into, not by the United Nations or by us, but Nigerian government itself should look at it more, more serious terms and try to find how to deal with it. But there's something that happened in some homes, which is now coming out now, which in the past, members of the family will not allow maybe a woman that is a victim. The child is a victim, but there are other, things that sort of trigger down the line, like a wife, for instance, who is watching her husband, trying to abuse children that are under their care. And the children definitely cannot, rise to the level that a child who's been abused at an early stage cannot continue with her education. So I have been involved in issues like that because I was affected as a 13-year-old when an aunt of mine felt that I should stop going to school. But I was rescued by another aunt. So I was lucky at the time. Not many people have been able to, get through all this kind of trauma. I was lucky that just at the time, the man was busy talking to some other people, and it's like somebody being kidnapped and another person coming to your rescue. So I was lucky at my own, to escape that unscathed and get on with my life. If I hadn't gone through, maybe I would have been having 13 children. It's good to have children so that the population will multiply. But then you have to make sure that the children are able to, get on with their education. And when you educate that child, you're able to look after other children. I've raised so many children in the process, because I was able to earn enough money to take care of members of my family. And that is what everybody should sort of, try and rise up to that challenge. Chief Folami Koka was the Babeto of Lagos. So, and I used to accompany him to the palace of Yekon. And someone then said, well, Yeto, why don't you let... He wanted his wife to be the Yeto, but she rejected it. She said she didn't want to because, you know, she thought it was, they were going to perform some fetish. It wasn't really fetish. My brother now turned to me and said, Julie, do you want the title? I said, no, it's not for me to say, because I wasn't terribly keen. But he said he was going to carry out all the preparations. And I said, well, if you're going to do that, why not? And the late Oba Adeyinka Oyeko graciously offered me the title. I accepted and went through the ceremony. So I've been a Yeto of Lagos now for getting on 40-something years. We only have one majesty in England. And that is one of the oldest institutions in the world. Some other countries are getting rid of their heads of their traditional rulers. France doesn't have one, for instance. There are some countries in Europe, I think in Finland, that still have, you know, kings and queens and all that. But Nigeria, every little village, every doorstep has one title. This is the palace of the so. It wasn't like that in our own time. You had only one Oba in Lagos. Now you have so many. You have several Obas. This one claiming this and that. It's Osa. It's whatever. After a while, there's going to be a clash. Maybe not in our own time. So if they're playing traditional roles, somebody will lay claim to some title that belongs to somebody else and another one. There's no end to it. So let them stay the way they are now. If they want to multiply, that has nothing to do with me because we don't have any say in that. It's not, because you can say now that this station is trying to sell this idea to be propagating an idea that should not be. I don't think anyone should play any constitutional role. If each one has its own, in the states, at the state level, they take it, I think it's rotated. After a while, one steps down, another one takes over at that level. If they want to go and attend a meeting at the House of Assembly, that's up to them. But at the federal level, I think, no. No. I don't approve of it at all. Because then you will have some woman coming on and saying that he's the one that is entitled to the title. It's not, I don't know whether any African country actually accepted that sort of thing. So Nigeria shouldn't start. You know, Nigeria at certain points in any of these things. Once Nigeria starts, other people will start. And before you know it, the whole thing will skyrocket and another war starts. We have enough problem on our hands as it were now. No, we are lagging behind. It's such a terrible shame that we only have about 4 women in the Senate. It's ridiculous. We seem to be dancing backwards. In that regard, I think we're falling short. Totally. There was a time when there were more. There doesn't have to be more women in the Senate. I think there should be maybe 50%. Not even 30-something affirmative, whatever that they went to Beijing to talk about. There should be more. There should be more women participating in politics. I don't know whether it's because. No. I don't want. I just believe that we should have more women in politics. Because women are more sensible. Women are glamorous, they come out looking beautiful, but their contribution to national issues, I think, are Look at a man who went to beat up somebody in the house. He says he's a hero. Hero of where? That kind of man should not be allowed to even come and address the press. Maybe the press find it funny humorous to feature somebody like that. There's no woman that will come on TV and speak like that. If you examine every single one of the men, they all have different issues. Some of them have issues about wives and men and things that they have been doing, or they are corrupt and they have been taking money, dipping their hands into different coffers. No woman would do that. I think women are more, serious-minded, and they address issues the way they should be addressed, and they will take more care of issues that affect the nation, girl-child issues, health issues. The men don't even care about health issues. They don't even want to know what's happening. The men even wear bigger agbadas than when they are going to the house. First of all, they should cut down on the amount of clothing that some of them wear. They spend more time thinking of their image, how they're going to appear. Since television has now gone into the chambers, you find that they spend more time, on things like that. And it's ridiculous. We watch other countries, the way their parliamentary issues are being addressed. We're not learning anything from that. We shouldn't be learning from them. They should be coming to learn from us if we're doing the things we're supposed to be doing properly. But if women are really at the forefront of all this, I'm sure that they'll be able to calm all those hot issues that erupt sometimes in the houses. With worry, my mother. I was brought up as an Ichekiri child by my mother. I was taught to sing Ichekiri songs, to speak Ichekiri well, to address issues that affects the people of worry. My stepfather, who also had a hand in my upbringing, was an Ichekiri man. So I think that takes care of all those things. Well, I was brought up in Lagos, so I have this dual kind of nationality, and I knew my father came from Egba land, but I didn't have much to do with him. I only have connection with the family, like, Toye Koka, who was my uncle, who took care of me as well, but he was too busy doing other important things. But occasionally when they're having issues in the family, I'm invited like a stranger. But because I speak Yoruba very well, and I passed all my exams, and I used to do all my programs in Yoruba in Ibadan in those days, on radio, WNBS. So I can still hold my head high in that regard. I think I function very well. It's like the King of England. He sometimes goes home to his Greek family. When, Prince Charles, when he was prince, he used to go on holidays with his family from the Greek side. And in fact, it looks like some of them sometimes when they are together. So yeah, I think it's allowed. Well, one of the first one, my 40 years in TV, which is actually showcasing all the my life in broadcasting from the early stages, which actually should have answered some of the questions, was a textbook in Kenya for many years, because the minister came to Nigeria, and my GG then, Mohammed Ibrahim, had a whole box full of the books, and he gave them to the minister. And when the minister got there, he requested for more copies of the book. I never got paid for it, but I was delighted that they found the book so interesting. So maybe I'll get someone to serialize the book on TV sometime. We tried to do it some years ago, because I cannot be telling the stories all over again. This is about maybe another 30 years story. Again, we've done another sort of edition, My Life in the Limelight, which is the latest one. So if you have time, if you create space, you might be able to tell the stories and take it stage by stage. That's why I said the book, and also, you know, we get some media attention from sponsors and get things going. The sky will be the limit then. Well, eat well, eat the right food, type of food, eat chicory pepper soup, or anybody else who's cooking pepper soup now, because then you don't have too much oil. I think that damages certain things in the tissues. And if you want to avoid having cancer, there's nobody in my family that has ever died of cancer because of the type of food we eat. So get someone, you know, to prepare. You know, there was a time when chicory food was being prepared in the museum, and people used to go there to collect the ingredients and the menu, and people lived well. So like people are eating Chinese food, which is good. It's healthy and lots of vegetables. I recommend that for people. I'm not saying that I very good health, but I still walk about on crutches. I don't know, my knees are not functioning very well. But still, if you say you paid me compliments, I accept it. Thank you very much indeed. I hail from Lagos State, from Isaleko. My father hailed from the Olumegbo family. I attended my primary, secondary education in Ibadan at the time because my mother was there. But my religious practicing was always done during the holidays at Holy Cross Cathedral. I was working in the sacristy. We used to prepare for the Mass on Saturdays, and we sell the news magazine on Sundays in front of the church. And I remembered fondly that we used to tease a man called Sunday Boku Boku at that time, and he used to run to chase us and throw stones at, how dare you call me Sunday Boku Boku. Those were fun times. Harvest, Corpus Christi. And I was born, raised, baptized, confirmed, married in the Catholic Church. But I got married to Engineer Larry Phillips, who is an Anglican. And I believe that in togetherness of family, it's best we all do things together. So I moved over with him against the doctrine of Catholic Church to the Anglican Church at Marina, where his family belongs and worships. I attended St. Luke's Demonstration School. We used to climb the mango trees, and there was a mixed school. We used to play at during break time. And in my secondary school was a Catholic school.
and it's for you to be prim and prudish in life, and set you on as a lady. And I got some finesse from there too. And but the most interesting one, and the most that I can call a radical one, was my HSC in Olivet. I mean, we tried all sorts there, but it was fun and highly educative too. Sportsmanship was there, and from there I proceeded abroad for my accountancy. And I was lucky to finish in a record time, and I came back. Did my articleship, but married in between. I met my husband abroad, and we came back home, got married in Nigeria. I worked as an accountant with USC, very proud of the drill professionally that I got from USC. It had set me on a discipline for working, and I thank God that I had that opportunity, which still helps me today. Apart from the fact that my educational background sets me to be a diversified person in so many professions. And as an accountant, accountancy is the best of all, is the creme de la creme, and I've been able to fulfill my professional exposure in every species of responsibilities that I had opportunity to take upon me. And from USC, I proceeded to work for the bank. I went to politics. I became a commissioner in Lagos State, served with the present president of Nigeria. And you know how Lagos is. Lagos is like a country to other states. We went through governance. My team, as you can see, I have some of my colleagues in Abuja now. I have Honorable Minister Wali Edun. I have Honorable Minister Dele Alake. I have Honorable Minister Yemi Cardozo, and so forth. And I served in the bank as a director in Keystone. I've been a chairman of so many committees. You can say that again. In different aspects of life, professional, political, social, and currently I'm now the chairman of Souq Insurance PLC. When I was growing up, it was so free and enjoyable. We can take off at 11, 12, escort your friends to Bangboshe here. We go and have the Mosa. We go to the stadium. I remember me in my teenage age, I used to go to Nikon Stadium here. We watch so many matches, and I used to be with those fans, dancing and waving our fans, and bazaars, Easter Mondays, Fela Sports, I mean, you name it. It was fun. But Lagos was good for all of us. It was cleaner. It was amazing. Security isn't much to fear, You can just live the way you want. And money and values of life are completely different to what they are today. I was with my grandparents and we had so many tenants and we didn't realize they were tenants. We were all playing together, eating together, and we are still like one family today. But the story is not the same again. I wish one can turn around and change it, but we have all given our kids sheltered life for the fear of unknown. And I think the disadvantage is very grievous. I think first and foremost, God gave me the chance, the opportunities to pass through that in the journey of life. It's not only money that can make you successful in life. I want you to get that. It's an added support for you if in life you have the opportunities of parents who can financially support you. But at the same time, there are kids who didn't have any financial support and have been successful. So to me, success is about self-determination. I grew up around uncles and aunties who are thoroughly educated, and I've always had it behind my ambition that I must be in that cadre. And thank God the opportunity was there for me and I seized it. And I remember myself telling my kids, when I was abroad, I never lived like my father was a rich man. No. I was behind the desk reading and reading till I got successful. And I passed in record time. First and foremost, I think I'm a people's person. Secondly, my educational background. Thirdly, my pedigree. And you can't be a Lagos person and don't have a bit of intelligence about how you can maneuver yourself, even in the midst of challenges. And I can tell you that boardroom politics, especially when you're a woman, is tough. But when you manage those that you sit around with, eventually, when they see that you're there to work, it has no business and basis for any other thing. I've had issues on boards because I'm female, and I put my foot down. It is the work we are doing. There is no gender sensitivity in this issue. Even in my early days as an accountant, when I head the accounting department, it was even tough at that level because the young accounting clerks, some of them can be daring to say, how can you talk to me like that? How can you make it? And I'll say, please, what do you mean? We need to get this target work done. So it's the work that is talking. That's not to do with whether I'm a man or a woman. So I will like the idea of gender reasonableness to be better played. At least for now, we are not having it at 3 1/3, no. But I guess we are in the region of 20%. And it should be better. You give a woman a chance, she will devote her life to it. But, I mean, when we have 1 or 2 issues from women who have been there, that should not create hurdle or boundary that you say a woman shouldn't cross. No. Nobody's perfect in life. And I want to let you know, it's tough for a woman These men, when it is a woman having a corrective measure to be taken, they do not handle it the way they do for the men. They are in a rush to pack the woman out. You see from what has happened all over the world. So I will still make an appeal that women should be given better chances, better allowances. It's so quick to make a woman a scapegoat, the sacrificial lamb. Let's take it easy. And please, women, when they put you there, make us proud. I should remember the other women coming after me. If I make this trouble now, they turn around and say, this is why we don't give them the chance to get to the top. So you manage the situation, you know? And let us remember that Africa is still very chauvinistic. It's still a man's world here. We are only trying. So just give us, for now, our required 33.3% as per Beijing recommendation. Having been in politics, there are so many factors that bring you up there. Some sensible, which I would call sensibilities. Some sensitive based, which I would call sensitivity. And some as per geographical distribution. If it's not the turn of your section, your district, there's no way they can put you there. But then sometimes it's the turn of your district, the party supremacy decrees that they don't want to use you. What do? You have to show some resilience as a stable character and do whatever you are given very well. Excel. Somehow, one day, you'll be there. Like Martin Luther King. At the end of that tunnel, I can see the light. Someday, somehow, you get there. I was in tourism shortly, and it's not enough time to propagate the excellence of your work. But in special duties, I give the ministry class. I was able to represent my Lagos State very well. NYC was under me. Proudly, I served. And we ensure that all students that need to go to orientation camp are well registered and got their NYC certificates. It's not about where they put you. It's about what you are able to do in that place. And you do it even to the enviable eye of somebody who believes has the best ministry with a lot of funding and allocation. I'm different in that respect. A hard-working man, a man with a lot of sagacity, a man that is very kind, he has human kindness in his heart, a man that is highly focused. My office was very close to the Roundhouse, and I tell you, I wasn't surprised. And I kept telling everybody, I wasn't surprised he got a clinch that position, because I knew that even when in 99, from the day we stepped in, he's been working towards his election in 2003. So a man like that who is focused, his business is the end of the tunnel. All the distractions you are given, he doesn't consider it. So don't waste your emotions. When you provoke yourself unnecessarily, and the person you are provoking yourself upon is not even responding on that line, you're wasting your time. But he's an astute politician. He knows what to do at every point. And don't try him, because he's a hard knock. And he's easy to forgive. That bit, I don't know how he does it, but it's easy to forgive and move on. He understands politics, maybe from a young age, I don't know, but he seems to have the knack of it at all times. I think that's in the pipeline. I don't have to come here to say that. And even in the insurance company industry that I am now, I'm propagating that, look, you need to take it easy. Is it at these hard times you want to recapitalize the industry and make life harder? Yes, recapitalize, but not with large gap. The variance should not be too much, because you need to recapitalize so that companies will be solidly based to address financial issues and risk issues that we have in the country today. I studied religion for my A-levels in school. I did divinity. It's not just reading Bible. The interpretation, the history, the analogy, all of that I did. And it has helped to shape me for life. It has molded my conscience to a large extent. What I see in religion today, if I go back to the way I have studied religion, I will say I'm worried. The way we have churches established in this country now, I'm talking of my experience in Lagos State. On the street, you can find 6, 8 churches, but there is no school. Education is key. Religion molds the character, the moral values about life. I'm not saying they are all totally condemned, but I think there should be more conferences and seminars to appeal to their conscience. It's one God. And in Lagos, the families, both Christian and Muslims, and the third religion, which is the native religion, we all interact and live together. And usually you find out that all of them talking about this God. I am a Christian. I talk about my God. And I don't denounce anyone in any other religion that faithfully talk about their God. And I don't allow that to affect a lot of decisions that I have to make, and didn't affect a lot of decisions that I had made. The expectation is too high. We are still a developing country. The awareness of covering up your risk is not too much there. In terms of life insurance, in terms of property, people are not still there. People don't cover themselves well enough. They take unnecessary risk. I'm glad Lagos State Governor is saying everybody must have a health insurance now. That, again, will expand the scope of the insurance business. In insurance, there are so many seminars, there are so many conferences that are being put up there now, where the ability to educate the masses, and even the high-ups one, to please insure yourself. And when I say yourself, your life, your property, your children, and see how far it goes. It is important. And you know, in this era of insecurity, it is highly important. Just make sure you ensure yourself. And with what the governor had proposed now, definitely Governor Sanwo-Olu did well. Health insurance is key. Health is wealth. First and foremost, inflation all over the world has gone haywire. So it's not peculiar to Nigeria alone. Those who live in the Western world, they're crying hula baloo about the price of petrol, the price of even eggs. So it's not just Nigeria. Let us wake up and see that we're in a global world and everything is intertwined. The issue of the central bank now trying to manage inflation, these are not easy times all over the world. They're not easy times. And when I say we are a developing country, we are still trying very hard. I don't want to say it's sad. It depends on the environment. You know, you can't just bring UAE here into Nigeria. The environment here from inception has not delved too much on tourism. Your tourism is just go on holiday and go back. The beaches are there. And even from 1999, they are trying to redevelop along the beach so that tourist activities can happen. And I'm sure they're still on it. You need tourist attraction where you have every aspect of life when tourists come over. But with the problem of infrastructure that we have in the country, you can't do much tourism for now. It wasn't easy, but as I said, once you try to be a bit methodological about it, then, you know, you get by. Because from the days I came back from England, starting a family, working in large corporations, it just ensured that the home front solidly settled. And it wasn't that easy, because you know that I'm talking of almost 40 years back. To be able to excel amidst men, you probably have to do 2 times, 3 times more than them. I'm lucky I have a husband who accepts me being what I am. Because if you have a partner that does not appreciate your ambition and your dream, he will not support you. But I have the support of my husband, and we are able to keep the home together. Make sure that his food is given. Make sure the kids are well looked after. Make sure the husband is well looked after at all times, and don't grudge. I try to give myself to people in terms of needs. I try to recognize people's needs, and at the moment of that need, I try to help. And it's a legacy I try to sound to my kids at all times. Recognize needs at that point and do it. Because at the point that you recognize it, if you don't offer the assistance, it may not be meaningful again. But if at the time that a need arises and you can do it, promptly do it. And I cannot manage people who are not sincere. I cannot. And that is the only thing that bothers me about life. And once I find out that they are not one way, I make my U-turn and I don't go back again. And that's one thing I have learned, I have seen, and I'm trying to learn from Mr. President Bola Tinubu. The way he can switch from being so hot and then swim as if nothing happened and carry on. That is tough for me. And I hope I'll be able to, within the space remaining, I'll be able to copy that. At the same time, I like hardworking. I recognize people who are hardworking, who are intelligent, and I recognize people who are hardworking and need to be helped in terms of training to be a better person. And I like fun. Now let me start with that girl child. That girl child is not so common again. At least most female children are educated now. Outside Lagos, girl child is a big reference. Yeah, I think everybody should be given equal chance to make a life, and a life worth living and contented with. Because if you don't have enough drive and motivation, then life becomes static and you just wear it out and go. But I believe that for women, don't let the men scare you off. You are equally hardworking and intelligent. Expose yourself, but don't mess yourself around. Don't get corrupt. Do unto others as you want others to do unto you. And there's one good prayer. Everybody that knows me, and I always say, my God is a just God. His judgment is always fair. So whoever hurts you, attacks you, leave them to God. He's a fair God. The judgment of God will come. Just move on and pray that in your lifetime, that judgment comes up. My favorite food, I like eba and ewedu. I'm an expert in cooking. I love cooking, and I tell you, I can challenge anybody to come and compete with me. On that level, I score a good card. But I love fresh fish, with ewedu and eba. I'm not too much of an amala fan, and my favorite color is green. Or it's green, but with that green, I love bright colors. Even jewelry, it has to be bright for me, but still worn in a conservative way. As loud as whatever I pick may be, I still give it a conservative umbrella. I love to dance. I'm a good dancer. I love to socialize. I'm a good mixer, but highly disciplined.
At the Africa Development Studies Center, ADSC, we are committed to driving sustainable growth and development across Africa through innovative training and research. Our mission: empowering leaders, policymakers, and professionals with the tools they need to create lasting change. With customized training, dynamic research programs, and study exchanges on leadership, management, and other critical development topics, ADSC offers a platform for exchanging cutting-edge ideas and global best practices. We provide comprehensive services in research and consultancy, capacity building and training, education programs, publishing, and knowledge sharing. Our esteemed faculty, composed of seasoned experts and researchers, ensures a learning experience that is insightful and practical. We specialize in policy development, implementation strategies, monitoring, and evaluation. At ADSC, learning is engaging and enjoyable. Our unique methodology includes talks, interactive exercises, games, video screenings, and lively seminar discussions, all in a comfortable and friendly environment. Ready to make an impact? For more information, email us at info@adstudycenter.com or call +234 912 439 2362. Visit us today at www.adstudycenter.com to explore our programs and upcoming events. Africa Development Studies Center, rethinking development for Africa.
We've got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas Touch, and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix, and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.